So, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Today I am here with Amelia Ray, who has kindly offered to share her experiences about living and working overseas. So, Amelia, over to you. Where are you and what do you do?
Thank you very much. So I'm in Ras Al Khaimah in the UAE, which is one of the 5 northern Emirates. It's about 1 hour from Dubai and about 2.5 hours from Abu Dhabi. And I'm sitting in my lovely apartment by the beach.
And just can you tell us about your role that you do and who you work for?
Absolutely. So I'm working for the Ministry of Education. I came in originally as a lead teacher, managing 3 of the schools' English departments in Ras Al Khaimah. I then moved on to work in the assessment department, so the English Assessment Development Department. So my role includes things such as writing, editing, proofing, speaking, reading, writing, and listening exams. And I'm also part of meetings, team meetings, department meetings, in which we discuss things such as the National Assessment Framework. And I can also have exciting roles such as being the voice of the listening exams and editing those recordings. So it really varied role.
You seem to be doing a heck of a lot anyway.
Oh, I am busy, yeah.
So, are you enjoying it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's been such an exciting experience and hugely developmental. I think whenever you work and you live abroad, there are a lot of things that you learn. I was really happy with the fact that I got placed in Ras Al Khaimah. So I finished work at 2:30 in the afternoon, which gives me lots of time for my hobbies. So I go hiking and rock climbing and take Spanish classes. So I found lots of things to do outside of work, which has made the experience really fun. And I've made friends for life, most importantly.
Excellent. Now, a lot of times the teachers who we speak to are always worried about what the onboarding process is. How are you going to be looked after when you arrive? Mm-hmm. So could you just cast your mind back to a couple of years ago when you started this process and just talk us through it?
Absolutely. It was really easy. I mean, I've abroad before and I've never had such an easy start to a role. So we were collected at the airport. There were about 50 of us that started at the same time, taken on as English teachers and curriculum writers. And we had held up for us and we were taken on a bus and then we were given some very nice accommodation. And in that time, we did things like our medical, the medical process for our identification, and then the ministry sorted out all of our visa documents and those kinds of things. And we were distributed to the various Emirates in which we were going to work. And we were given a couple of more weeks of accommodation, courtesy of the ministry, which was very nice, whilst we found our feet and had a week's worth of induction as well. So we were really told about what to expect in our roles and got a chance to meet and greet one another, which was a brilliant start.
No, that sounds excellent. Now, the majority of the roles that we get and the people that apply are teachers. They're not within curriculum and assessment. Now, I know that when you started, you were a teacher. So could you just talk us through what a typical teaching day is working for the Ministry of Education, please? Okay.
There's a little variation between the schools because we have boys' schools and we have girls' schools. And there are 3 different cycles of schools. So there's quite a lot of variation and it really depends at what level you're in at. I was brought on to work within a cycle 3 girls' school. So that's starting at 8 o'clock in the morning and finishing 3:05. A boys' school is a little bit earlier than that. So being in about 7:15 and finishing at 2:20. So a typical day will start with assembly where the students will gather and sing the national anthem, and anything that needs to be said by the principal will be said at that point, and sometimes there'll be games and quizzes and those kinds of things at the beginning of the school day. Then the day consists of 7 or 8 classes of 45 minutes or 40 minutes. The variation is because of Ramadan, and that changes how the working day is. So you'll have between 4 and 6 working periods per day, or 45 minutes with each of the groups. And normally you'll be given 1 or 2 age groups. So you'll get grade 11, 12, or you'll get grades 8 and 9, which you take care of effectively for all of their English classes. About 6 classes, I believe, per week of English for each of those grades. You should expect 24 periods of teaching per week.
Okay, and one of the other questions we get is, are the students well behaved?
The students are fantastically outgoing, I will say that. And they're really interested in foreign teachers and the whole way that the education system has been changing over the past 2 years. So you'll find them to be quite confident in terms of speaking and energetic. So you need to be aware that it will be quite tiring, it'll be quite a full-on working day, but the students have been lovely that I've had the opportunity to teach.
Now, the majority of the people, as I'm sure you'll appreciate as well, when you say the UAE, they think Dubai, they think Abu Dhabi. So it would be interesting for the viewers to hear what you feel about Ras Al Khaimah, any cultural difficulties that you found, and how you, as someone coming from the UK, has adapted to working in what people perceive to be not one of the most well-developed Emirates.
Yeah, sure. I mean, before I came here as well, I had very little knowledge about what the Emirates was about. And, you know, I think I knew how many Emirates there were. There are 7 Emirates, by the way. So it's not just Dubai and Abu Dhabi, which are obviously developed cities. You have much smaller Emirates. So you need to be aware that you may be placed in any of those Emirates and not to expect a Dubai experience, although you can actually cross the whole of the Emirates within, 3 hours if you want to access anywhere. I'm in the Northern Emirates, as we said, which is a little bit more conservative in some respects. Cultural difficulties, no, I haven't experienced any. I think, as always, whenever you're working in a different culture, you need to be respectful and you need to be aware of certain things that are important to people here. Emiratis make up only about 10% of the population, so you have a massive expat population anyway. However, when interacting with people, you need to be kind of aware of certain formalities and greeting people in the correct way, and making sure that you accept coffee and tea and dates and food whenever you're invited to. Accepting invitations is a big part of it. Obviously, for both, I mean, you should dress conservatively so as not to raise eyebrows. But I found that Emirati people to be extremely open to expats and very tolerant.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Before we close off, is there anything else that you think that prospective international teachers should know about the life or the roles, or any other advice that you would like to give?
I think the things that you should be aware of are 4 things. Okay, so you should be open-minded. There will be challenges, just as there is with every new role. And secondly, get stuck in, make the most of your opportunities, make sure that you network, make sure that you attend training and conferences. There's a massive emphasis on education and the development of the education system here at the moment. So make sure that you are part of that and part of the change, a good fight, really. In practical terms, I would say make sure that you drive or get a driving license, because that is how people get around. And outside of Dubai, you don't have the transport. You don't have many other options in terms of transport. So practically speaking, and make sure that you know that you're aware of moving costs, that you arrive with enough money, and £3,000 or £4,000 if you're working in British money, and $5,000 US, just to make sure that you're nice and comfortable and you don't have to start. But just enjoy yourself. It's going to be quite the experience.
Amelia, thank you ever so much. That's been most enlightening. Thank you ever so much.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers.